everyone. I'm back for another episode of Let's Talk About It with Ashley McBay. Ashley, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Sydney.
So, just to do a slight introduction before we get started, Ashley is a wide receiver for Texas Elite Football. That's part of the Women's National Football Conference. And she was a former NCAA track and field athlete at the University of Kansas. So, welcoming in another track and field athlete, but our first ever women's professional football player on the show. So, I'm super excited to talk to you today.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
So I never played football other than PE, but definitely grew up with a lot of football around the house. My dad is a huge football fan. He's like the type of guy to watch games from 2004 just because he loves watching the sport. And we are huge, huge Chiefs fans. So I'm super interested to know, did you grow up around football or like watching it? Like, how did you get into the sport?
I did. I did grow up watching football. My brother, who I actually made a post about a week or two ago, he played football from little pee-wee to middle school, high school, college, and even some professional level. He had a little moment with the CFL. And so I grew up watching him going to his football games on Friday nights. And so I loved the sport. It was always fun to watch. But I think back in 2020 is when I was like, you know what? It may be fun to try.
Really? So you didn't
You
feel
know,
before growing up that you wanted to try football? I know you did track in college. Was that like the main thing?
yes, track was the main thing. I actually wanted to go pro in track and was in pursuit of it up until like 2015. But yeah, I had no inklings of playing football whatsoever before like 2020.
It's interesting that you say that you wanted to like do track and field professionally, but end up playing football professionally. I've had a couple people on the show talk about what it's like to go professional in track and field and how difficult it is as a solo sport, right? To get this partnerships and all of that. Was that your experience?
Yeah, so the beautiful and difficult thing about turning pro in track, especially as like a sprinter or any kind of runner, is it can't be political in any way. Your time speaks for you. And so there's a certain standard time you have to meet in order to even be considered to run on that level. And it takes years just to drop milliseconds off your time. So it's difficult, but it's solidifying because nobody can speak on your behalf but your time. So
Oh, that's a good point. And that's, I feel like, what people say about individual sports all the time is like, I don't have anyone else getting in the way. It's all me. But that's also, I feel like, so much pressure. Like, as, as an athlete, like, you can't, like, if I'm in middle and we don't play well, like, we don't win, I can kind of blame it on the setters or the defense. Like, an individual athlete,
exactly.
there's no one but you, honey.
Yes, it's all you. Every little mistake you made is exposed.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I was wondering kind of how you transitioned from running at Kansas to playing professionally. So it's playing professional football. So it sounds like maybe there was a couple of years. Do you mind walking us through that?
Yeah, so after about 1 year at Kansas, I actually transferred to Langston University because I got injured at KU. I had some discomfort in my knee, and they couldn't figure out what it was. I ran all these tests. They said I had tendonitis, and they said I had Baker's cyst, and all these different things. I didn't know what it was, but I couldn't generate power off my left leg because there was like a nagging, throbbing pain in my left knee. I ended up meeting my coach, who would then train me in the elite development process. And he basically told me, you just have built up scar tissue in your knee that needs to be broken down. And so he, for over the course of 2 weeks, just broke down the scar tissue in my knee. And I haven't felt that pain since.
But it's so interesting that you say that it was the scar tissue because I think that's something that comes up a lot. Like, were you starting to think about like you were starting to think about medically retiring probably at that point? Like maybe, right? Or like
Oh,
I don't know
sure.
what's
I knew a different route had to be made because the type of training that you do on the collegiate level, it's very intense and it's high volume. So at some point, there's going to be some kind of opposition in your body. And their solution was, a little bit of stem treatment, putting some kind of foam in my shoe to help with the uh, pressure in my foot when I make contact with the ground. Uh, Put a little ring around your knee to kind of add support. And it's like none of that worked until we found out that it had built up scar tissue and it just had to be removed. And so the good thing is he didn't use a tool, the little tracer thing, but he did use his elbow and his knee, and he got big hands, so that wasn't any better. But after 2 weeks, when I noticed the pain was gone, and then I was able to generate power again, like, okay, I'm ready to do this. Okay, well, let's get back into it. And
That's
so yes, I started training again, and this time wanting to just go pro. Even if I just run over in Europe, I don't ever have to be on the Olympic stage. You don't ever have to know I'm running. I have athletes out there that are professional and you don't even know what they do, but they make
mhm.
a living doing it. I was cool with that. So I was training for just running on a professional level, even if it's just in another country. And in 2015, um, I met who would be my husband. And then in 2016, I got married. And then in 2017, I had my first child. So that set me back a little bit. Because having a child it changes your entire life as a woman. It changes everything. It may change the man's life as well, but it's mainly your life that is completely changed. So yes, I had my son in 2017, and then in 2018, my daughter came. So I did not have the free time that I used to have to train for that professional level. And then on top of that, my body was not the same. I had gained, my sprint weight was 125. In my pregnancy weight, I was 175. So there was just a lot of extra weight and softness, and just my body was just completely different. So I'm like, I can't put through that anymore. That dream is done. It's over with. I need to do something to get rid of this body, this baby fat that I have. I need to do something. So I looked into volleyball. I used to play volleyball in high school. I looked into football. I'm like, maybe they got some little women teams that they meet twice a week and just play on a field somewhere. And so I ended up looking at different leagues, and the WNFC was one of them. And so I looked up the team, the Texas Elite Spartans, and I'm like, wow, they're really organized. I like, what they got going. So I signed up for the 2022 season, and that's where my football journey started.
Wow, there's so much to unpack there that I'm really excited. No, I'm really excited because I didn't know all of that about you. I mean, that doesn't come up in your CV, right, when you're looking someone up, but
Mhm.
I think that's something that's so interesting. 'Cause, like, I'm about to leave to play professionally, and people ask me all the time, like, "How long are you gonna play for? What do you" and I'm like, "I don't know." Right? And it's like you keep chasing that dream and you wanna continue playing, but there are life things, and I love that you say that, and I know we're kind of getting away from the football talk here, but, like, I think it
No,
still connects to so much of what I wanted to
yes,
talk to football, playing as a woman. There is, like, a biological clock or an emotional clock of your life as you get older too. I'm only 23. I personally feel like I've got some time before I settle down,
yes,
but
you do. Yes.
you are thinking a little bit about, like, "Oh, what about when I get married? What about a family?" I'm like, "I'm about to go live in Europe," right? Like, "Can I have a partner in Europe? And, like, can I get married while I'm playing professionally?" And, like, if I had a kid, do I think I could come back and play? And you do see people who do that, and there's, like, the superwoman part of it. But I also love that you just returned back to sports. I don't know. Do you have anything to say about that? I
Yes.
just had to get that out.
No, no, everything you said was on point. There is so much to consider. Like, even if you can plan it all accordingly, okay, I want to play this sport for this long, and then after that, I wouldn't mind starting a family and having kids. But once I do that, then would I want to come back, and if so, for how long? How will that impact my family? So it's a lot to consider. But I am happy to come back to sports in general because I'm an athlete at heart. Even though there are sports that you favor or that you like most or that's more in your blood. But when you just love sports and you're just active in general, then it's just good to be doing something again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think I'll and I made a joke about this, like, I don't know, however many episodes ago. We had an athlete who just graduated and she was talking about she's running a marathon this year. And I was like, there's recruiters at graduation. Like, what is up with all these like former collegiate athletes like running marathons?
that will never be a goal of mine. You don't have to
No,
worry about it.
you're good. You're good with the 40s. No, nothing longer
I'm
than that.
good. I'm good. I can give you a mile. Maybe.
I feel that. Like we don't really run in volleyball. That's very rare. So I feel that. Um, let's transition back into talking about how you got into the Women's National Football League and all of that, or sorry, football conference. What is that process like? You said like you signed up, but I know now it's like a very big thing. How did that go? Like in 2022, like getting onto the team and starting to compete?
Good question. So every team promotes their tryout day. Now, the unique thing about the WNFC is that the every single team in the league have tryouts on the same day.
Oh, they do that in club in California.
Yeah.
So annoying.
Yes. So they promote, they make posts on all their social media platforms. Hey, we have some open available slots for players and coaches and staff. So come on out on this day and see what you're made of or whatever. So I saw their post for Saturday morning that they'll be having tryouts. So basically you reach out to them, tell them you're interested through like IG messaging or whatever platform you're on, you message them, tell them you're interested, and then they send you a form to fill out. And so you fill out all your information, and of course you have to sign a waiver that they're not responsible for anything if something happens. And so then you sign it and submit it. And so then they send you the information for the time and location. This is what you need. Bring this with you. We'll have this, and this, and come on out. See what you're made of. And so you go out there, you get a number, a little, a little number to put on your test. So they don't know your name, so they call your number 18. Come here. So that's how they know you by your number. And you go through all these different drills, and they want to see how fast you are, how strong you are, how explosive you are, so they can have an idea of where they think you should be. And then at the end of the tryout, if they're interested, you will get a call back within a week.
Wow. Okay, so I feel like that's a pretty similar tryout process to what most athletes are used to, right? So then you made the team and now you're part of this conference, you're part of this organization. What is it like week to week, year to year? Because I feel like a lot of professional leagues, especially for women, they don't cover your whole salary in your whole year, and now you're like, "Okay, I'm a professional athlete and I'm good." That usually isn't the thing. That's definitely not the thing for me going to play in Germany. What was it like for you?
So it's very demanding. Um, One of the advice I give to women who are interested in playing football, especially in the WNFC, is you must count the cost. It's going to cost you financially. It's going to cost your time. It's going to cost you uh, family, your job. So for particularly Spartans, practice is 3 times a week. So um, we have training camp, usually like the first weekend of February, and we have what's called a lock-in. So Training camp starts on a Friday. It ends on a Sunday. Between Friday and Sunday, you are away from your family. You're away from home. And you have little to no phone contact with them until Sunday is over because they want you locked in, they want you focused. So you definitely have to go in with your heart and mind prepared to endure. So after training camp, practice is 3 times a week, usually on Wednesday evenings, Saturday, and Sunday morning. And then the first game is usually like the first weekend of April. But this past year, it was the last weekend of March. And so you have a game pretty much every weekend. And then if you have a bye week, practice that weekend. So it is very demanding of you the entire year until the season is over. And it's pretty much the same from year to year, except this past year where we actually started a week earlier.
Okay. Wow. Wow. So
Mhm.
definitely a big commitment. And I think that's important to share for people who look at it as just like another hobby or another thing. I think it's important for fans to understand how much goes into it, and also important for people who want to join to recognize like, hey, this isn't just like extra training and I miss being an athlete. So I want to go, join pickup. Like this is like a real, like it really
Exactly.
is focused.
Yeah, that's what I found out. Okay, this is not just a little gathering twice a week at a little field somewhere. Like, no,
Yeah.
this is an organization that take what they do very seriously, and they're trying to expand this, and it takes full commitment from everybody involved. So I had to
Yeah.
make that decision to fully commit if I wanted to remain a part of it.
There are so many questions and things I want to ask you, like spanning from this, but I'm going to try to keep it simple and go one on one and one on one. So, the first thing I want to ask you about is we already talked about injuries and we talked about your body. And then we've talked about just what you have to give up and parts of playing football. I think one of the biggest things that comes up nowadays is the safety aspect of football, especially you are playing tackle. Is that something that you've considered or worried about as you're playing, while you're out on the field?
I mean, if you're honest, football, just like, of course, any sport has its dangers, but yes, football being a tackle sport, you definitely have some concerns when you're on the field, and knowing that some injuries can occur without contact and some can occur with contact. Somebody tackling you the wrong way, or somebody rolling, underneath you and take your ankles out. So yeah, there's definitely concerns, and you do think about it on the field, and you try to be as careful as possible. But things happen.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too. Like one of the big things, so my career in sports started at a women's sports startup, and we talked a lot about gender equity. And it's still something that I always try to put into all of my episodes and just like everything that we do with the show and everything I do, period. And we would talk about, we had so many fun conversations with different like big sports stars. I actually had a conversation with Jennifer King like a year ago, and a different conversation just about like women's football and just her experience in sports and as a coach. And
No.
time I talk to these big stars or different people in sports, they talk about like back in the day when women's basketball players couldn't, run up the whole court because, women's hearts couldn't handle it and all these different things. And I feel like that comes up a lot in football. Like you're laughing. It's like ridiculous, right? But I feel like it
I
comes
know
up a lot
that.
in football. And, it's one where it's like football has been seen as such a masculine sport and such a men's sport that I don't think many women even think that they would like want to try. Like like many, it's not
Yeah,
even
yeah.
it's such a thing that, oh, men play football and that's it, that I don't think that there's even that many movements that are very mainstream about women wanting to play sports and playing football.
Yeah.
So much of it is around the safety aspect and the masculinity aspect and all of that. Do you have any thoughts on that? I'm really interested to hear your perspective.
Absolutely. From being in the sport now and kind of hearing what's being said around it concerning women on both ends, both from a woman aspect and a man's perspective. Um, I think one of the main reasons around what you just mentioned is more so the masculinity of it than the safety part of it. Because because I don't think it's so much of a safety issue if a woman is being tackled by, a woman. We're all on the same playing field here. Um, but of course, we hear the typical: "This is a man's game. Women shouldn't be playing football. Y'all go do something else." So instead of listening to that, we're actually going above that and showing, no, we can play football. Like, it's a sport. So I'm like, yes, a woman can play any sport that she applies herself to. So that's the main thing I think will keep a woman from actually playing football, not necessarily the dangers or the risks. Yeah, there may be there's a few risks. But I think if she realizes I can play football just like a man can, then more women would be interested. And it's growing, as we can see.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because there's this whole thing about playing football as a woman attacks your femininity and makes you more masculine. But then at the same time, I go on Instagram and TikTok and I see videos of women playing football, and I feel like it's hypersexualized. Have you seen that at all? Have you experienced that?
I myself haven't experienced it, but I have teammates that have. Um, the fact that some women have to wear tights and show cleavage in order to play football and to get a fan base that is predominantly men, I do feel like sexualizes the woman who wants to play a sport. So I feel like if you can't watch just based out of their ability instead of what they have on, then yes, this is not about the sport. This is about how much she can show while she's going.
Yeah. Like, yeah, and I like what you said just there about the visibility and teams or different people are doing this in some ways to try to gain visibility and support for the sport beyond, like you're
Right.
saying, just the physical aspect of the sport and just what they're able to do. How have you been able to build your personal brand or build attention around the sport in other ways?
One thing the Lord has blessed me with is my athleticism. Even though uh, I'm not a spring chicken like I was a couple of years ago. You said you're 23, I'm 35, be 36 next year. So I still have some athleticism that I feel like I can show the world we can do this. So I still have some track speed. And it has been very beneficial to me these past 4 years. So just being able to show my explosiveness, my ability to run routes, my ability to catch, my ability to make plays, and um, just execute my part in the play. I feel like if we can do that, then we'll get some more fan base. Like, oh man, she caught that, and oh look how fast she is. Oh look at that cut, and, that route. So we can show them what we can do. Then I think that's what's going to attract, and that's what's going to build our brand and build our league. Showing them what we can do.
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes football so fun. That's what makes college football, the NFL, CFL, XFL, everything so fun is those highlights, right? Like you go to one to an NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing personal player interviews and asking the Chargers like what Love Island character they like. But what's getting the big views is that crazy catch, the one-handed catch over the head, the spin move, jump, the hurdle jump, right? Like these crazy moves. So
Exactly.
I love what you're saying
Exactly.
about that, like utilizing social media, utilizing TV to show what you can do and gaining attention that way. Just proving it,
Yeah.
right? Just showing it. That's awesome.
That's right. That's right.
So with that in mind, I would say just beyond just showing what you can do, right? That's a lot of us as athletes ourselves showing the world, hey, we're capable and we're really exciting to watch. And also, probably your organizations and your media team committing to that. What are other things
Mhm.
that you'd like to see happen to help grow women's football in the United States?
I would love to see football expand for girls in high school and on the collegiate level. I definitely think they should get scholarships for playing football in college, NIL deal. I would love to see, maybe having little draft days. It's kind of like how the NFL has a draft, the WNSC or WSA, any of the women's league drafting them or signing them out of college. Of course, the ultimate goal, which Coach OJ is pursuing right now, is for us um, to be able to play and get paid to do it. As of right now, of course, we're not getting paid. We have to pay to play. And of course, some people will say, well, if you're not getting paid, then it's not professional. Oh, not necessarily. Basically, we're at the highest level of this class category. Out of every level of football, from a woman's perspective, from high school, little league, college, we're the highest that there is. So it is professional. And one day we'll get paid to do it, just like the men. I'm not asking for $30 million. No, it'd be nice, but I'm not asking for that much. I just want to be able to play the sport and provide for my family while I do it. But whoever want to give me 30 million, call me. We can talk about it.
I think that's the dream for most athletes, right? I mean, there's always people who are they're done, they feel they're good, they have other aspects of their life that they want to do, but I think so many of us that play in college leave and wish that we could continue to compete, and the main reason that we can't is finances and
Yeah,
responsibility. But then there's also, I think, a lot of high school and even middle school athletes who would have wanted to compete in college or continue to compete, but didn't
yes,
see the opportunity, to keep going and to make it a real
that's right.
career. And so they didn't pursue it as seriously in college to do other things that they thought would. So I love that you say
All
that.
that
And
is good.
well, Ashley, thank you so much for coming on the show today and just talking about your
Thank you,
experience
baby.
and your wisdom. I think what you shared so much about the way we think about women's sports and the way we think about football in general that I really hope gets people thinking. I'm really excited to hear what people talk about in the comments.
Thank you so much for having me, Sydney. And if you ever want a part two, let's make it happen.
Oh yeah, I would love to be a wide receiver. That seems so fun. I think everyone I think everyone would love to know what it's like to be like a 6'2" like dude wide receiver in college. Like I think everyone was interested in that. So I'd love to see what it's like to catch. Like I would love to run a nice route, catch the ball, bring it into the end zone, have the whole stadium cheering. I think I would love to know what that's like. So I might take you up on that one day.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it. Well, thank you again for coming on the show.
Hey guys, it's Sydney. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Let's Talk About It. If you did, make sure to leave a review and send it to a friend. Let's keep this conversation going. I'll see you guys next week.